Hi, Coffee Duke 65. Thank you very much for posting a video response. Enjoyed your videos and do think it's very down-to-earth communication. I think this is what I believe eventually, we should achieve on YouTube. And also I would like to thank all the comments that's been posted on my video. Human nature, I believe. I think it's all down to human nature. Well, that's interesting. I think everything we do in life is probably down to human nature. We have this makeup, of different personas that are willing to go different directions and distance in different directions. Very interesting. You talk about somebody owning a plot of land by the river, and imagine if I own the plot of land next to his, and I needed to, and my uncle owned a plot of land the other side of the river. I could get my water from his side of land, but it's no good to me because I've got to cross my neighbor's land and able to get to his side of the land to get my water for my land. If I wanted to grow, say, wheat or barley, so I suppose I would have to come to some sort of conclusion with him, some sort of deal in that if I gave him 2 sacks of barley and corn a year, that he'll let me run my pipeline across his land so I can get the water to irrigate my wheat. Yes, I suppose that's the basic of human nature. We barter our way through life, but I think this sort of what I was trying to get at was the bigger picture. Really was a thing. Suddenly, my uncle and my neighbor and myself, we were told that that river is the dividing area between Scotland and England, or, something like that. Now this is nothing to do with us. We are just the ordinary farmer. Managed to barter with each other to get my pipeline across his, but suddenly something much bigger, another much stronger human nature has appeared and told all of us, my uncle over the other side of the river and my neighbor, that as from next month my uncle will be living in Scotland and us over here we will be living in England. That is something much bigger than we are, and it suddenly appeared from nowhere, out of the blue. Then we have no powers over it. Apparently, these 2 groups of people must be run by much bigger families that don't play about with land. They play about with swords and whatever, and big armies to fight each other, and they somehow behind our backs they've managed to make another deal that that river, the other side of the river will be Scotland and this side of the river will be England. Well, what I was trying to get at is all the time there's this bigger power above us, but I was trying to figure out and wonder, how does this come about? I was born in Malaysia, or Malaya at the time, but on my birth certificate it doesn't say Malayan, it says Eurasian, but of course as a little kid my parents and grandmother tells me that You know, we originated from Dutch, English, Russian, Portuguese, Chinese, and Indian. Our family is made up of all this different lot, you know. So I'm a right sort of dolly mixture, if you want to call it, where like Eurasians may represent sort of mongrels or something like that. Um, but I don't have an allegiance to any country, basically. You know, you can see from the day I was born. You know, they didn't even call me a Malayan on my birth certificate. I'm a Eurasian. You know, so I suppose as I grew up as a child, you know, you're told these things that are, oh, we're a Catholic family, and I was born into an area, a land called Malaya, you know. So you take it all for granted. You didn't sort of come out from this womb and question, you know, why am I the color I am, and why am I talking this language, and why is this area called Malaya that I was, you know, where I was brought into this world. You just accept it as infrastructure that was there, you know. But partly I wanted to communicate really about this infrastructure. You know, we're going to, there's a much more powerful force that create all this infrastructure. After the war, you know, our family fragmentized because they were involved, being Dutch, they were involved with all this rubber plantation and God knows what else. But the war reduced our family into fragments, and my parents' side of it came out of it quite badly because you know, there was a Japanese guy called Yamanaka, which was a Japanese officer. I would like, if anybody heard of Yamanaka, our family would like to thank this officer's family a great deal for saving. None of us would be here today if it wasn't for him. Hiding my grandmother and my mother and whatnot in the jungle, safe to keep us safe, our family. He took a great respect and liking to my grandmother and helped her escape the war in Malaysia. But anyway, but I end up, you know, was born in KL and lived in a village, in that area of this village called Kampung Siam, which means like a village of Siamese people, you know. Whole little area was all full of temples, you know, Siamese temples and Chinese temples and Indian. It was an area of temples, really. But one thing I've learned as I'm growing up is like there's something dodgy about the area, that no taxi drivers would drive into the area. They always not willing to drive into the area. They would leave whoever needed the taxi lift. They would leave us at the bottom of the road, entering into our area. They wouldn't come in no matter how much you pay them. They would just leave us out there, and we had to walk the rest of the way down. And but as I got older, I started to understand why. You know, because in those days, you know, the whole meaning of capitalism and the way, you know, villages was formed and societies was formed was it's equivalent to gangsterism, really. You know, that they had all different gangs that ran different area. Apparently some of the kids that I grew up with, parents were involved in this type of power movement. You know, wouldn't name any names because some of them are, you know, we grew up as kids and they're wonderful friends of ours. But I would say today their families are multi-billionaire families that own string of hotels and massive contracts in drainage and God knows what else, but the way they earned their money in the old days was through protection money. That if you wanted to open a shop in the area and you didn't want any trouble from other areas, you had to pay them protection money to keep your shop safe. Probably every so now and again to convince the shopkeepers who didn't want to contribute. They might pretend to get a bunch of people from another area. You're going to attack that shop and we'll come and have a great punch up and save this shop and say to you, look, you just had a freebie, and next time if you don't cough up some money, we won't come and help you anymore. But you can see the human nature logic forming now. It's very interesting, the birth of the infrastructure that decided, this area, this whole area is governed by me, Scotland, and this whole area is governed by you, England. So we're starting to find out now what makes the larger, powerful force that could rise above all these little farmers or shop owners and say, all this bit of land is mine and that land is yours. I think they come to a conclusion that there's enough of money in the pot now as society progress, huge amount of money to be made from people, is that we put away our swords and knives and guns, and there's enough here to keep everybody happy, and let's make it legitimate. We can live together. Well, as you can see now, we this human nature is expanding all the time. From your Scotland and England is gone to the whole of Great Britain now. You're dealing with a much bigger god, basically, that has managed to take over the whole country, if you want to call it, call it Great Britain. And I'm using Great Britain because I think most of you would understand Great Britain and the US. And that wasn't it, they're never happy, this human nature. Get in their little ships and sail off to other lands and bring this whole logic and infrastructure with them, and put their whole powers on this little Native America, and the whole machinery begins again, Yeah, that's a form of human nature that creates these countries, that we know of today. But what I'm sort of saying to us is, the ordinary farmer, the ordinary man on the street, is that where it's going to end, because it can only end in disaster, because as you see from this little area in Scotland, you moved into England, and then you've moved into the Great Britain. Now you've stuck one arm out into this Native America and conquered that, and another arm out into Australia, and the other arm out into New Zealand. But when you look at the basic infrastructure that created it, it's a little bit sickening, and to think all these respectful people going about in their beautiful suits and whatnot, when they look into the foundation that they are standing upon, it's a little bit nasty, I'm sorry to say. It's very, very nasty. And to think that if this planet was to be destroyed tomorrow, and someone could dig up its history and found that the whole society was built on this pathetic structure, and all these nations sprout out from this pathetic structure. It's sad to think that God has created this, this human, magnificent brain and a soul to go with it, that amounts to nothing but quite a pathetic situation of gangsterism and, big armies that fought and killed each other. I suppose, that's the human nature we're talking about. But I believe that there's something much more. If you took these brains and put the whole lot on the table, could we absolutely accept, that our whole society on this planet was built on that type of infrastructure? And do we really think we could survive creating a society on this pathetic infrastructure? You could build the tallest building in this world, but when you look at its foundation, it's made of a lump of shit. It's pathetic to think that how we can plod on and think everything is cool. Anyway, I think yes, that is human nature, but I do believe that human nature can really go in another direction and create something much better than this, what we have. Yes, definitely. I think we are much, much more better than this. To think that all that we represent is built on that pathetic foundation. Well, I suppose the conclusion is this is, when you got this bunch of gangsters and creating armies out of families. So I suppose that's where the birth of this round table comes into it, isn't it? Knights of the Round Table and whatnot. Yeah, I think what you've done is like you realize that you can't be at war or have these gangs, collecting money. It's not very respectful. So eventually we've reached a stage in capitalism where there is enough money to go around and create this society. I suppose this is can't even create a square table, isn't it? Somebody will say, oh, he's sitting at the head of the table and he shouldn't be there. So that's where the logic in the round table comes in. Everybody's got an equal status in the communication level, so you all decided to sit down and communicate with each other, put your weapons down, and this is interesting. Did you all decided from that day, in a sense, to pardon all of yourselves from the crimes you have committed? Yes, you must have ended. You pardon all each other. You decide to set up a society with a legal system to judge and watch over you all. Sounds great if it could work. When you think like of a bunch of thieves come together and say, "Oh, killers, now you're gonna pardon the whole lot of us. We're all gonna be goodies from now on. We got enough of money to be goodies. There's no use any longer to be baddies." And we all create this legal system to watch over us. And it'd be lovely if it works, but somehow I don't think it's working. I think our legal system is just as corrupted as the people who created it. Basically, now and again, it tries to do something that bang it on the media to make it look respectful. But my experience of it on the personal injury end, it's so corrupted, it's unbelievable. So I suppose you might be a bit better on other areas, but now I have got no respect at all for our legal system and the so-called ones that you lot set up. I think it's there to protect you all, not us. That's why I think the whole system in this world could never work. It's alright, you're sitting around this round table and pardoning the whole lot of yourselves, but in creating this society we have today on a legal system that was Nominated by you lot? Must be joking. Anyway, thanks a lot. Cheers. I don't know which way you point the V.